Hello everyone and welcome to my video. Today I'm just going to show you how I made these handmade Christmas cards for my friends and family, and I'm also going to just chat a little bit about my 2021 review and some goals that I have for 2022. First off, you can see me getting started here on the cards. I have sketched my designs and taped them down to this foam board intended for watercolor paper so you can stretch out your paper. The paper that I'm using for these cards is called Hong Watercolor Paper. It is 100% cotton paper that I got from my local art supply store. It's not the best quality paper that I've ever worked on, but I do really enjoy the texture. It's got a texture similar to that of Arches, which is like that sort of random organic texture. I'm really not a fan of the texture of most watercolor papers, which is very uniform. I prefer this more organic texture. I wanted to try two different techniques for my designs. So on the right hand side you can see that I have used masking fluid to mask off my designs. It'll keep the paper white underneath my paint. And for that I've used these masking fluid pens, the Molotow 2mm pen. I enjoy working with this pen. The fluid comes out very easily. The tip is quite thick, so you can't get tiny details. So I'm also using this Pigma 0.7mm pen. I don't like this one as much as the Molotow, but the tip is much smaller and firmer, so you can get tinier details as opposed to the other one. And so those are the light blue that you see on the design on the right. On the left hand side, I've just lightly sketched in my designs with just a regular graphite pencil. And after I paint my washes over top of them, I'm going to go over and paint the designs with a few different things to experiment and see what I like the best. The colors that I've chosen for my first couple of designs here are Daniel Smith's Green Gold and Winsor Newton's Cobalt Turquoise. I really like this color combination together. It's not maybe traditionally Christmas, but I do think it has sort of a retro vibe about it that I think matches the shapes that I've chosen to do my ornaments in. The technique I'm going to use is called wet and wet, and basically you just pre-paint your intended area with clean water to get the paper very wet, and then you drop dollops of wet paint into that and you let the paint mix and blend in the magic ways that watercolors do. It's one of my favorite ways to use watercolor. I love watching the way the pigments play and blend with each other, especially when you work with granulating watercolors. Then you get to see all the different color separations and the granulation. It's really quite nice to watch. Very relaxing, actually. So you can see some examples there that I've done now, and that shows the results of some wet and wet blending as it's drying. So I'm just gonna speed ahead the video a little bit while I finish going through all of these green and blue and just give a little bit of a talk about my past 2021. This past year has been challenging for a lot of people, particularly out here in the northwest of the North American continent. It started in June, so I think maybe the first half of the year was probably pretty normal. And then in June we got hit with what is called a heat dome, which I had never heard of until this year. And it caused record-breaking high temperatures in the area that we had never experienced before. And it was quite horrible. There were, quite a few deaths with heat-related complications because we just didn't have the means to stay cool. Our air conditioners couldn't keep up. If you were even lucky enough to have an air conditioner, a lot of us don't. On the coast here, it just doesn't usually get hot enough for long enough to need air conditioners. We might have a few days of early mid 30 degrees and then it cools back down at night and it's not so bad, but this was crazy. It was up over 40s, all close to 50 in some parts of the province, and wasn't cooling down at night. These unusually high temps made our annual fire season particularly bad this year. All the way down the mountain range from up here in Canada down to California, we get fires up in the mountains. But they seemed much worse this year. And with the amount of fires, how big and how hot they were, it led to very, very poor air conditions. The amount of ash and pollution in the air made breathing difficult for almost everyone, but particularly people like me who have asthma or other respiratory issues. It was pretty rough. It wasn't very fun, I have to say. And as we headed into fall and the fires were finally starting to get all put out, the firefighters were able to finally get control of a lot of things. Everything kind of felt like it was settling down again. And then we got hit with these floods and landslides coming out of the mountains. The news was calling this series of events a significant atmospheric phenomena. And this next thing that came through was an atmospheric river, they called it, and it was bringing in a lot of extra moisture into the air. We had unprecedented amounts of rain and just literally felt like it brought the sides of the mountains down. The resulting floods and landslides closed every major highway out of Vancouver and the Lower Mainland. A lot of them I think are still closed, at least to non-essential travel. Areas that haven't flooded in, over 100 years were flooding. It's still a mess. It's still being cleaned up. I don't know how long it's going to take to clean it all up. But crews have been working on it, so hopefully it'll happen soon. And then to top the year off, we are now experiencing record low temperatures. I don't know, I actually haven't looked too much into this to see if this is something that happens like every 50 years or so, but in the area that I'm living in, our average winter temperatures for December are about -7 degrees Celsius, and it was like -24. So it's considerably colder than what it usually is around here, as well as other parts of the province. We're getting snow like you wouldn't believe, which is kind of cool for me. Growing up on the coast, I hardly ever got any snow, but now I'm up in the mountains. I almost forgot. There was a tornado in Vancouver. A tornado in Vancouver, Canada. Can't say it's not ever happened before, but it's incredibly rare. So that was quite the interesting year. I wanted to just sort of put all of this in this video so that in a couple of years, if I look back on this video, I can remember what a crazy year it actually was. Okay, so now I am removing some of that masking fluid that I had put on that one design. I really love this part. It's so satisfying to reveal your design underneath. I picked it up to take a closer look, and I can see that there are spots where I didn't get the fluid on quite thick enough and the paint has seeped through, but that's okay. I can either leave it as is or fix it with a paint pen or something later if I want to. So let's get all the rest of this masking fluid off. It's like, you ever watch those videos where you've got your painting masked, the edges are all masked, and then they slowly peel off the masking tape to reveal the final image? That's kind of what this is like, but I think it's a little bit better, honestly. Get rid of all that ugly blue. Here we go. Nice little close-up. Yeah, there's a few spots where I definitely didn't get the masking on thick enough, but like I said, I can fix that later. Or just leave it. I'm happy with the results of this. So these are some of the experiments I'm going to do on the ones where I had just done the graphite designs underneath. I have a few different supplies I'm going to try out, and this first one is just, it's a pencil that I got from the fabric store. They use it for marking fabric. I don't know why, but it's like a mechanical pencil with a soft white lead. So it's very useful for me for a lot of different things, and I thought I would give it a try on top of the watercolor here. And it's not too bad. It's kind of looks a little grayish, but it did cover it. I'm going to try my gel pens. I have a Signo Uniball and I think a Jelly Roll. You'll see it in here in a sec. I've never really I've never really been successful with gel pens. They just don't work for me the way they seem to work for other people. And you can see here I'm already having difficulties trying to get the gel to come out and cover nice and opaquely. I'm going to give the Jelly Roll here a try. The Jelly Roll definitely seems to go on more opaquely, but I still can't, it's not quite the effect I was hoping for. You can't fill in thicker areas. As you can see, it's just sort of streaky and it's reactivating the watercolor underneath, which I suppose is to be expected. It is watercolor. It is water-based. It's meant to be reactivated when it gets wet. Get a little close-up here of it, if it'll focus. See, it's got the very scratchy, which is actually kind of a cool texture, but it's not what I'm going for these particular ornaments. So next I thought I'd just give a regular old pigment pen a try. This is one of the Sakura Pigma pens. This is their graphic tip in a size 1, and it's just like a bullet tip marker. And as expected, the black pigment ink is going on very nicely, very opaquely. There's no issues here. Wasn't really expecting anything. I just wanted to see if I liked the way the black looked. It's not horrible, it's just not really what I was hoping for. So next I am trying a paint pen. This is acrylic paint pen by Derwent. They're called Graphic. This particular color is called Snow. I have another one called, it's called Fox, but it's a silvery color. I'm assuming they were playing on the phrase silver fox. But I'm going to give them both a try here and see how I like them. This white pen is going on way better than the gel pens did, that's for sure. But I guess you would expect that from an opaque acrylic paint. Not too bad. Here I'm giving the silver a try. It's also going on easily, again, being an acrylic based pen. Much easier to color in solid spots as opposed to the gel pens. Sorry, I'm a little bit off-centered there. Well, a bit off-centered on the camera. And there's the result. It's got a little bit of a metallic sheen. It's not super silvery. It's kind of more tinny. Again, not a bad look. I also don't like it as much as the white, but I had to try it. The next one I'm going to give a go with here is Liquitex Acrylic Ink. And they're super fluid inks, but they are acrylic paint based. And the first one I am trying is silver. I have a few different colors, but I'm trying the silver one here first. I also have a white and a gold and a copper. I'm using just an old dip pen and nib to apply the ink. It's going on quite nicely, quite opaquely. It's covering the watercolor with no problems. Of course, being a dip pen, you do have to reload your ink quite a bit, but that's just the nature of the pen. Here's a close-up of that. It has much more of a metallic shine than the paint pen did. Much more silvery. I like it much better. I don't know if I'm actually going to go with this for the final, spoiler alert, I don't go with this for the final design, but at this point in time in the video, I was enjoying it. I just wasn't sure yet what I was going to do with it. Okay, now I'm doing more acrylic ink, but this time I'm trying it in white because I am still really partial to the white and I am so off camera. I'm sorry. A little close-up of this white ink. Definitely better than the gel pen. It's a very cool white, but that could be just because it's also reactivating the cool blue paint color underneath it. Last thing I thought I'd try, just sort of on a whim, was a colored pencil. So I picked out a white colored pencil there, that round one in the top left, just to give it a try, and I didn't like it. But here is the results. The test one on the left and then the masking fluid one on the right, and I do like the one on the right better. It's kind of just got more of the right vibe that I was looking for these cards. I decided to switch up my color combinations for a couple more of them. The next ones that I'm trying are a combination of Winsor Newton's Payne's Gray, which is one of my all-time favorite colors, and I'm mixing it with Brilliant Pink by Holbein. It just seemed like a cool combination to try. It's, again, not very traditional Christmassy, but whatever. Later on, you'll see the next combination that I try is, oh, before that, I do end up also experimenting with some of my silver ink in these ones. So you may see me dropping in some of that, there it is right there, some of that metallic silver ink to see how it blends. The results were varied. I found that it was better if you painted down the silver first and then put your watercolors over top of it. But my next colors that you'll see later are more of a traditional set of colors, and they are a green and red, and I use Daniel Smith's Jadeite Genuine, which is a really lovely deep green color, and Winsor Newton's Paraline Maroon, which is a nice, again, deep red, and I experiment with gold ink with those ones. But while this zips through and those are painting, I thought I'd just give a little chat about what my goals were for this year and what I'm kind of looking forward to in the next coming year. I'll admit already, I failed at a lot of my goals. Although the one that I did have was that I wanted to have a YouTube channel, and that I succeeded, as you are obviously watching this video. It is only my second video and last video of 2021, which was not my goal, but I did get the video up. One of the reasons that it kind of came to a halt was in May we lost our dog, one of our dogs, and it was very traumatic for both me and my partner, and neither one of us are truly over it yet. It's been 7 months and we both still have moments where we cry when we think about her. She was a very, very wonderful, loving dog, but for quite some time it just sort of zapped all the motivation out of me, and that really put a setback on the progress that I was going to make for my YouTube channel, as well as my art, illustration, Etsy, the whole bit. And then, of course, moving right into that, we started with all these crazy natural disasters. In the middle of the heat wave I spoke about earlier, the house we were living in got sold. So then I was packing up the house and getting ready to move. We've moved quite far away, actually, 4.5-ish hours up into the mountains. And a lot of it I did myself because my partner was working in Whitehorse, which is way up in the Yukon Territories, north Canada. He works out of town a lot, but this was the furthest away, and it was just really, really bad timing with the sale of the house and the having to move. So again, that just sort of put a lot of setbacks on the things that I had hoped to do. But I did get the channel up. I am about to post my second video, yay me, and going forwards for 2022 for my YouTube channel, I've decided that since I'm not super active in like an Etsy studio sort of way when you watch normal studio vlogs, instead of doing weekly studio vlogs, I'm going to try to just check in from time to time throughout the month, and at the end of the month do a monthly vlog, just sort of looking back on the things that I did that month in regards to Etsy designs, my artwork, the whole bit. I think that'll be kind of cool. Hopefully more doable than the pressure of trying to edit a video every single week. I'm still so slow at it. And then in between those monthly vlogs, I want to have 1 or 2 art-related vlogs. They might be paint with me, they might be testing out new products, they might be coming up with new designs. I'm not 100% sure yet. Sort of whatever I'm working on that's artistic. Part of 2022 is that I really, really want to improve my art game. I want to get my painting skills up with both watercolor and oil paints. I want to really develop a portfolio or a gallery, a collection of artworks, if you will. Something I've never done before. And so I hope to post a lot about those. Something else I had hoped to do in 2021, this was really, really hopeful of me. I had wanted 1,000 Instagram followers. That did not happen. I actually have 2 different Instagram accounts now, which I'm still not sure if it was a good idea or not to do that, but I have one where I just mostly post my personal stuff and my artwork, and then I have another one where I was trying to dedicate it just to my Etsy stuff, so I wasn't sort of spamming my art followers with, hey, go buy this product, because a lot of the products that I have in Etsy, although I've made them myself, they're not really art. They're stickers and decals and stuff like that. So I tried to separate the 2 of them. At the time of me recording this voiceover, the end of December, I have 118 followers on my art channel, and I have 80 followers on my Etsy channel. So nowhere near the 1,000 that I was obviously in the clouds dreaming about. So for 2022, I would like to get 500. I've kind of brought it down a little bit more. I'm hoping that this year I'll be able to actually focus more on posting regularly. I have to admit, I am not the best Instagrammer. I struggle to try to figure out what kind of posts to put, and keeping a flow of the types of posting that I'm doing, as well as the types of content and planning the content. It's not me. I'm not that good at it, but I'm working on it. Another thing I want to do is actually focus more on this YouTube channel. So it would be super cool if I also had 500 subscribers on this channel by the end of the year. That would be super duper awesome. Another goal that I had set myself for 2021 that I did not complete was to fill a sketchbook every month. It's pretty ambitious, and I have to say I was off to a good start. I got January's finished. I was super proud of myself. I felt amazing. I couldn't wait to do all the other months. And then I think I got about halfway through February. I don't think I got through April until the end. And then I think I did maybe half of March. Between April and March, I was kind of on and off over a sketchbook. And then of course May happened and everything else, and that was the end of that. I don't think I'm going to continue this goal into 2022. It was very ambitious. That being said, I do want to work in my sketchbook every day. I have a lot of small little sketchbooks that have to be used up. I should be really using them for scribbling out ideas, working out compositions, practicing techniques. So that is going to be a goal, is to just work in the sketchbooks every day, or as close to every day as I can get, because we all know something's going to happen someday and I won't be able to do any drawing, or won't want to. So here you can see me starting to experiment with the traditional Christmas colors of red and green and gold. I did end up really liking these ones at the end. Another rather ambitious goal that I had for myself was completing a 100-day project, and I wanted to do a complete illustration every single day for 100 days. I did start planning this. I thought I would do like sort of 10 groups of 10 subjects. Does this make sense? Like instead of 100 of the same thing, I was going to do like 10 fruit illustrations, 10, I don't know, animal illustrations, that kind of thing. So I did actually start planning out these things and even got a couple of sketches done, but that's sort of as far as I went with that. And I think this is something I still want to do, but instead of doing a 100-day project, I might try to make it like 100 small paintings in a year. So that's about 2.5 days per painting. And I think that that's a little bit more reasonable because, again, some days you're going to miss days, you're going to have other plans, you're going to be sick. Maybe I decide to do some in oil paint. You can do a painting in a setting, although I'm not that experienced yet, so who knows, it might take me a couple days. But I think I do want to try that, just not as a 100-day project, just as a yearly project. The other goal I can think of that I would like for 2022 is to start getting regular sales on Etsy. They're pretty sparse and sporadic right now. I am a relatively new shop. I don't have a lot of products on there. I'm looking back at it and realizing that maybe I need to up my photography and make all my main thumbnails look a little bit more uniform. I also have a variety of types of items in there. I don't know if it's difficult for people to tell who I am or what I make, and I get it. I make a lot of different things. I like to do a lot of different things. So I'm going to try to up the photography, and I think I've done really good with my keywords. I want to add more projects to it. I really want to start focusing on my fine art. I want to post original artwork and art prints on my Etsy site, along with the other things that I'm making. So it would be really cool if I could get to, even just 10 sales a month would be super awesome, just to show that regular, steady income, even if it's a little bit. And here are the results of my paintings. You can see the red and green and the gold. It turned out quite nice. I was actually very pleased with it. I thought I was going to have an issue with the red and the green blending together and just making brown or some mucky gray color. But they stayed separate enough that I think it was successful. I really enjoyed them. The next steps I'm going to take on these cards is add some little details to the top of all the ornaments. I'm going to use my paint pen, and I'm going to use the white one to fix up some of the parts where the masking fluid wasn't thick enough, and then I'm also going to use some of these metallic inks, acrylic inks, and I'm just going to add, I'm cleaning up some of the spots in the white here with the paint pen, and then you'll see me, I'm going to add the little what do you call that little metal bit at the top? It's the little metal bit at the top. I'm going to add those in on all of them in different colors. I'm so sorry, this footage is very blurry. And then I'm going to add just a couple of dots at the top of each one to indicate they are hanging. I just have my ruler there to kind of remind me to go in a straight line, because when I did a practice one, it was like all over the place. Use, of course, gold on these ones. Man, I can't believe I did all of this footage out of focus. So sorry. You'll see a close-up later. And then for these blue and green ones, I decided to use the copper colored ink, and I really liked the results of these. I thought it just looked, it just was the perfect match. I'm really glad I went with it and didn't try to do the gold. The next thing I've decided I'm going to do is add a ripped deckled edge around each of these paintings, just so that they stand out a little bit better from the card base that I'm going to be sticking them on later. Also, I just really like the natural torn edge look. To do this, I'm just using my stainless steel ruler here. Any straight edge would work. And I'm trying to make sure that I get them as perpendicular as possible, all my corners, and I'm just by hand, I'm ripping up a section of it, leaving that nice natural ripped edge look. I use my bone folder just to smooth it out just a little bit on the back here. That is what the front is going to look, but I'm going to just do it all the way around all of the cards now. I'm just testing one here on one of my folded card bases. Yep, looks good. Here are my 4 designs with the ripped edges. See the details that I painted in a little better here, not as blurry as before. Again, sorry for that. Okay, next step, I am going to put them on these card bases, and I just got these from my art supply store. Michael's probably carries them too. You just get those boxes of pre-cut, pre-scored cards. And I've decided that I want these to stand up, to raise off the base just a little bit, to give it a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to use this foam, double-sided foam tape to adhere my paintings to the cards. This is not necessary. You could use a glue stick, you could use tape if you want, glue dots, you could use whatever. I just happened to have some of this foam tape and thought I would use it to put these cards together with. Et voila! A finished card. Now, just to do the rest. And here we are. You can see one of each of the 3 finished cards. I'm still not completely decided on which one is my favorite. The traditional one, I think, is probably going to be a lot of people's favorite. Let me know, which one was your favorite? Now I'm just going to print out some greeting sayings to put on the inside on some regular paper, tape them on the inside, and they'll be ready to go. So yeah, thank you for sticking around for this video. It was quite long. Please let me know in the comments if there are any other types of content you would like me to share with you on YouTube. Anything more about watercolor. I'm not an expert, but I have been playing with it for years. I just want to thank you for sticking around. Please consider subscribing and liking this video and commenting. All those things help with the algorithms that be. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.